Yeah, we have officially arrived. I know we probably gave y'all just a little bit of the shakes yesterday because we weren't able to go live because I had bad Wi-Fi, especially since there are still a shit ton of shit storms here in the Midwest. I do believe that is why I had such trouble. But man, I'll tell you what, when we started rolling the intro there, I could see 5 people already watching, and my black heart said, fuck yes, we are ready to drink. I'm just fucking with you. But seriously though, I am enjoying myself, as is the great Mimi Horny. Because if you guys were with us this past Saturday, I'm Candy Sizzle, your host for the evening, and we have all picked our own hoe names. So if you were there, you definitely know a little bit about that. Hello, Rebecca, Cody. Let's see. Majector? New person, hell yeah. Kyler, what is up, my dude? He says, hello, my friends. Happy Titty Twister Tuesday. Okay. Well, as a matter of fact, we kind of came up with a little something ourselves. Hopefully you like it. I think that's a great name, Kyler. I love you for coming up with that. But let's check out this. That is right. It is officially Unholy Testicle Tuesday. Mouse Bog, I love you. Welcome back to the show. She says, ha, 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 what the hell?
Now for Mouse Bong, the show that we had, that show was fucking made. That was made for Mouse Bong because she could have come up with her porn name, although she may already have one for herself, or she may just go by Lady Boner.
It is officially a what the fuck across the board. Everyone is dying, and that's what we love to do. We are here to entertain you on this fine Tuesday night. Since we weren't able to be with you for Mommy Milkers Monday, well, we had to come up with an unholy testicle in its place. But to be honest with y'all, we are here tonight to talk about 2 amazeballs records in so many different ways. And we're going to be talking a lot about them. And one of them is one of Hoofbeast's favorite bands, and he's had a chance to see them.
Well, Reaper, I think your internet, I don't know if it's just on your end or mine. It's breaking up pretty bad. I don't know if I'm doing the same thing.
Right.
So I'll just try to fill in case that happens. Again, that was a pretty long one, then I'll just try to keep it going for everybody. But I think first it's very important. Let's welcome wholeheartedly every devout right-wing Christian nut job into our realm. Welcome to the Morgurot universe, where we say fuck yous to you and fuck yous to all of your unicorn farts that you are fucking sniffing every fucking day.
I could not agree more. And let's see here. Kyler says, before we begin, Reaper, aren't we missing something Hoofbeast sure likes? Ah, man.
That was for last
I guess
night.
That was last night, though. But, I mean, apparently he might be missing her. So... Only because Kyler brought it up. So I was totally...
Extra points for you. We are making for sure that Kyler gets in for free whenever we go on tour near, I think it's Tennessee.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. Look at Mouse Spawn go. It's so good to have you back. But no, I was setting up Hoofbeast to tell you about the very first record that we're going to get into, and then I'll tell you about the second one.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about Pallbearer first, and their really remarkable new album to me. But if you are a prior fan of Pallbearer, be ready because it's going to jolt you, especially the first song out the get-go. The first song out the get-go is very indie rock laden throughout. But just these guys are like among geniuses as far as musicians go to me. I liken what I hear from Pallbearer is very Enslaved went through when they went to Prague, and what Catatonia went through when they came out of kind of death doom into prog doom. And even into kind of Catatonia is a little bit closer to Pallbearer in that I hear a lot of metal gaze reference to this. But there's a lot of indie rock too, but just don't kill the messenger. Like for me at least, you know, I like variety. I don't like things to be fast all the time. Guitar wankery, boring. Tired of that shit. Bored of that shit. So like I want bands to mix things up, and these fuckers do it. And if you go see Pallbearer live, which June 12th in Omaha, Nebraska, I hope I will be there. And yes, Mousebong, I 100% agree with that. It is a beautiful album. I have that written down in my notes throughout here. It really is a beautiful album, and it takes sophistication to bring about that beauty, but still have darkness and melancholy. It's a very melancholic album, and it's a metal gaze album. It's very atmospheric at times, but I guarantee you, if you go and see Pallbearer live, that fucking bassist is going to be mixed in so prominently that it will be heavy as fuck. I just saw them like June 16th last year or June 24th. Outstanding. It was so fucking heavy. Outstanding show. So if they come in near your town, spend the money, go see them, buy some merch from them. Great guys, great band, and I'm so impressed and so excited to talk about this album tonight.
Absolutely. And then, of course, we're going to be talking about one of the founding members of the great Slayer. And I know what everyone's thinking when I say that, because there's been so much bullshit surrounding this record. But I'm telling you, though, once we get into it, I think you'll be able to really look at it through a different set of ears and eyes. And of course, we're talking about Kerry King's new record, which is From Hell I Arise. So, but we're going to first, excuse me. We're going to first start talking about the Pallbearer record. And that was an awesome intro given by Mimi Horny. Okay. No problem. Facebook, I'm going to tell you right now, has been having trouble all fucking day. So awesome. Thank you for switching over to YouTube, in order to watch this, because either way, it's gonna be fucking killer. So so we're just gonna jump right into it, because since we're doing 2 album reviews tonight, I'm gonna go ahead and skip the commercial, and we're just gonna get right into it. Now, one of the things that I have to say, go ahead.
I just wanted, before Mousebong's comment goes up where I can't read it, she basically says she's not afraid of this kind of proggy, pretty sound. And I agree. And like what I was trying to say before is I need variety in my life, and this provides that variety. And to me, like we joke around here a lot. We curse a hell of a lot. We drink. We talk about the devil's fungus. We talk about the devil's lettuce. We have a lot of fun here. But one thing that I really try to bring to this, and Reaper does as well, is we try to be really fucking serious about what we're doing.
Cody remembers his name, Star Knight. He says, I listened to a few songs from the new KK album. What I wished Slayer would have sounded like. Yes. And we'll be getting into that quite a bit. And now Mousebong has officially titillated the group, the Devil's Threesome, things like that.
Mm-hmm. That's really good.
Does it get better than that, folks? I don't know. So one of the first things I want to say about Pallbearer for me is that they're relatively new to me. And I did go back and I listened to some of their previous work. And I really dig it. I mean, I am a Doomster through and through. And I loved everything that they have put out up to this point. But listening to this new record, and let me go ahead and pull that up real quick. There you are. This is the front cover for the new Pallbearer record, Mind Burns Alive. And I think it's absolutely appropriate title. It's very encompassing of the sound that you're about to hear. We have talked on this show how many fucking times. If a band is not evolving, if they're not being creative, they can get very stagnant. And I don't feel like this is a far stretch for them to kind of go into some other places. The first, and I always got to come back to this, how many times did Black Sabbath's sound change? Mm-hmm. Apparently there's something hilarious in the comments.
Mousebong, of course.
I'm sitting here giving all this praise, and then something like Beelzebub's comes up, and I'm dead.
And Tyler is Roxy Tush.
That's right. I totally can't tell you how much fun that you guys have embraced that fun little game we played. Because don't worry, Mouse Bong, I got another one cooking, and you'll be able to be a part of that one live as well, and it'll be just as fun. But seriously, though, with this record, and I did read some other reviews as well, because of course, Metal Injection gets a piece of it as well. And this is one of those things you have to remember. And I got stopped from my point. How many times did Black Sabbath go in so many different directions throughout those first 10 years? There were some songs that were just so pretty that it was like, you didn't know what to think, but you were just like so with it. Like the song Solitude, or the epic, song I'm Going Through Changes. Who would have thought that would come out of them? So for me, on this Pallbearer record, I'm really digging a lot of what they're doing. The only sad part is that just by looking at Spotify, and I don't really care or subscribe to them much, but you can definitely tell that it is a slow burner on some of these songs. And it's because I don't know why people get in this funk of, I wanted it to be like that last record. Why does it have to be like that? You know what I mean? Yeah, it was heavy. All of them are heavy. There are so many multiple levels of heavy. But when the darkness is still there, even if you're going very melodic, and I got to tell you, I'm in love with this guy's voice. His clean vocals are fucking fantastic. People are always talking about the great vocalists of metalcore and this and that. Dude, listen to this guy. His voice is just so pure, and I love it. And it fits very, very well. Fuzzy, totally fuzz-laden or not, I really dig it. And I have to agree with Mimi Horny on this. I mean Hoofbeast, sorry. That these guys really are just conquerors of their craft. And this is the kind of stuff that you're going to get. Where the Light Fades is my jam right now. I really dig this song a lot in so many different ways, because it's got heavy moments. It's a constant build. The drums are on point. Very, kind of simplistic, a little bit more simplistic than I like, but that's okay. I think that's part of the allure of this band. And, doing this review really kind of forced me to really give them a listen, and really kind of let it saturate with me, let it sit with me. And I dig it. I could definitely see myself chilling out to a lot of these tracks. But so far, I know there's a lot more songs on it, but that one is by far my real favorite there.
Yeah, so this is their 5th complete studio effort. My favorite is their 2nd effort, which is, well, it's either the 2nd or 3rd. And his singing there is more kind of projected, and his high range is just beautiful. Like, it takes you to another place. And he does it on this album, but it really has an indie feel when he's really slow and chill. Yeah, I agree, Cody. That was a good comment. Sometimes heavy can be overdone. Slowing down is not a bad thing. I fucking agree. It adds a different texture to the music. It's like eating Indian food. That's what I kind of always go to. When you eat Indian food, there's so many different flavors in it. That's what I fucking want. I just don't want hot and spicy all the time, straight through. Then I'm waking up at 4:30 in the morning, re-enjoying hot and spicy on the toilet when I'd rather be sleeping.
For sure. Kyler says, I'm looking at you, Trap. Not sure what that means. Maybe you'll be able to fill us in.
maybe Kyler has had even more bourbon than I have tonight.
I don't know. Maybe.
Like I said before, I really liken their evolution on this album to Catatonia. Yeah, when Catatonia changed, I could still hear Catatonia, but it was appealing in a different way that's really unique. I can't name any other band that sounds like Pallbearer. Oh my gosh. Babylon's son is here. And he listened to what I just fucking said too. Oh, yep. Babylon, we are having fun.
He is already on. He's already on one, which is fucking fantastic, brother. Glad to have you. Mousebong says, if I can get it up there, there we go. Says, LOL, fun fact, I can listen to death metal while eating. It's like too harsh and I feel sick. Laughing my ass off. I know that's weird. No, I don't think so. Hey, what's up, Aaron, brother? Good to have you, man. I'm glad you made it. He says, shout out to you guys from a graveyard in Texas. Oh, I love that even more. I love that for you.
Like some of the things that I wrote out in the intro about the Pallbearer album is at times they sound like prog or indie rock, but they still retain much of their previous doom character. It is there. Sometimes it may not come until the last fifth of the song. In one case, at least it's that way. But it is fucking there. And when they play live, you will feel that fucking bass. That's what I noticed when I saw them last year, is the prominence of the bass, and it felt great. They were outstanding live. So I wrote they changed the guitar tone quite a bit as well. The guitar tone is more like an indie, kind of like if they're playing a Jazzmaster or a Jaguar, a Fender. It's a little bit more thin like that. I don't hear like the doominess from a like a Les Paul that's going to have the sustain and hold that kind of mid-low end like they do. The bass is quite prominent in this album as well. Me likey. It's really good.
Yes. And let's face it, that's not the first time that guitarists in the doom genre have used a Fender, especially like a Jazzmaster. So it's not that much of a relatively new idea, but for them it's different. But I like it a lot.
Babylon, I'd like a comment about how you like my name and Reaper's name. My last thing is, I feel like through this album, yes, I like to do the circular motion as well. This album has excellent songwriting. This is not songs that have been written by a fucking fourth grader, like a lot of fucking stupid writers do. This is fucking amazing throughout. The bass is outstanding, and the guitars. I agree with Reaper that I think something had to be sacrificed to not be as interesting, and it's the drums. But he plays his part just fine. Like I have no problem with it. But he allows the other instruments, especially the bass and the guitars and the vocals, to stand out front. Like he holds it down really well. And this truly is a clever album that reminds me of Metal Gaze. It's very relaxing, even though that bass is so driving and dirty, filthy, and low. it still is relaxing and soothing and beautiful.
Absolutely. And that's something I will always love because Geezer spoiled me, okay? When it came to Sabbath, he absolutely spoiled me because he was always out in the front. And I love that they do let that come through here. Babylon says, one of the Pallbearer guitar players just posted a weird 9-string guitar. It looked cool. See, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with adding dimensions? You know what I'm saying? God damn it, Babylon. He says, can horny Mimi sizzle the candy?
Or a play? Yeah.
Fantastic. Let's see here. Star Knight honestly says, I don't think I've ever listened to Pallbearer. I'm definitely going to check them out though. And you know, I'm not going to say just check this record out first because we want you to get a taste of what they've done. So even if you do just like a track by track basis, take one from every album, and then when you get to the new one, you know, you can kind of see that evolution, you know what I'm saying, of where they've come. And it was really interesting, Mousebong, that you had mentioned you didn't expect the spacey synths nor the saxophone. Sabbath was absolutely guilty of doing the same thing. There were certain tracks on certain songs, whether it was a doomy track or maybe it was another kind of like beautiful, darker kind of song, but they had them in there. Like they would sneak them in. And, you know, the saxophone is definitely, I'm just going to say it. I don't care because I did 12 fucking years of playing in jazz bands. The saxophone by far is one of the sexiest instruments I've ever heard. And when someone plays it so good with so much like heartfelt emotion in it, I think it's a great addition. So it didn't really kind of like, oh, they're just trying to be different. I didn't get that feel. So I don't know about y'all. I liked it. I really did. So
yeah.
I don't know what you have for Endless Place, but this was yet another track that really kind of grabbed me in an awesome way. Oh man, even the title track is fucking fantastic. Oh, okay, right on, right on. We got so many goddamn comments out here. I'm trying to keep up. Kyler says palette cleaners. You need a palette cleaner, and I do agree with that. Otherwise, you get stuck in a rut. Austin agrees that the sax is one of the sexiest instruments. Babylon says, I played sax for a few years. Nice. The second track is so stargaze.
I agree. I remember when Rivers of Nile about 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, came out and they had the saxophone in there, and they're not the only one to put saxophone. There are some like avant-garde black metal bands. There's one from Italy. I think it's Origani Azuzu. They put in the saxophone in there. But what I always hated is how they like being like, oh my gosh, they're so avant-garde by throwing in the sax.
Right. They're not doing that though.
Throw in the sax if it works. And to me, Pallbearer has chosen to put the sax in a place that it works really, really well. Normally, I'm real suspect. I'm like, you guys are trying too hard. This is like kind of superficial bullshit, throwing in the saxophone just so you can get likes or you can get people say, this is really wild. They even have a saxophone in there. No, this really works. And this is on Mine Burns Alive. I think that's the one. No, it's Endless Place. Endless Place has that. Endless Place, as you brought up, Reaper, is over 10 minutes long. The shortest song on this album is 6.5 minutes, around there. But this one is over 10 minutes long. It has an acoustic intro. And a lot of these guys, they're either playing clean and slow with acoustic or just clean electric. And then it builds up. They really pull you in. They start you off gently and beautifully, and then they pound you with something dark and melancholic throughout. My other notes outside that what I've already said about the saxophone is that it's a pounding song. When it gets heavy, it's fucking heavy and it pounds you. I especially recommend, I know Mousebong will do this, fucking if you're under the influence of the devil's lettuce or the devil's fungus, this song would be fucking amazing, and it is. It's a very dynamic song where there's so many different changes and things going on. And there's a refrain with a guitar tone and technique that reminds me of Typo Negative. I don't know, Reaper, I would expect you to pick up on that, but I heard that tone only on this song. It's the only song on the album, and it's the refrain in the last like 4/5 song. When this comes in, it reminds me of Typo Negative, and like, it's fucking beautiful.
Oh, there's elements there. As a matter of fact, I was able, and I agree with you. He says, funny you say that. I just took a couple of edibles a few minutes ago. Way to go, Austin. Oh, yeah. But the clip that I'm about to play for you, that I was able to get, kind of is indicative of what Mimi Horny just said to us about such a Typo Negative-ish thing. So Typo style. Don't even tell me it's not. Because how many times have we heard, let's say, any Typo song start off really kind of, dark, but suddenly there's that moment where it just opens up into the beautiful melody. Yeah, see, he even got it. Babylon says, oh, damn, a fresh Typo vibe. It totally was, man. That is something you would hear on a Typo record. Not saying they stole it. I'm just saying it's very indicative of that kind of sound. Austin said, I dig it. I definitely dig the sound. Exactly. It's not too, it's not too far out of the wheelhouse there. God damn, we have so many comments. You guys fucking rock. We love you guys.
I want to have fun with Babylon's comment. Ride the snake, Austin.
Yep.
What the fuck is that? That's fucking awesome, though. It sounds funny, especially on like 6 bourbons. And I'm not drunk. That really good buzz. Like, this is fun to feast. I mean, meaning.
Absolutely. Yes, Mousebong, absolutely. Hopeless and beautiful, most def, all the way. Because you almost feel a struggle within the beauty, and that's kind of what they're able to capture. Cody, my brother, Star Knight there says you can feel the Typo on it, or in it. I'm sorry. And Mousebong says, ride the snake, Jim Morrison, baby. That's where that reference comes from. That is definitely a Doors thing. Let's kind of spark off on that because I'm a huge. Most people wouldn't know this, but I am a huge Doors fan. I always have been. I love the tortured soul within that band. And there's so many elements in there where it's very fucking dark. His words are very fucking dark, and the music surrounding it is sometimes hopeless but beautiful at the same time. So we're getting a whole lot of the vibes, and that's something that was very well done in the late '60s and into the '70s, I think, for a few bands, not all bands. Don't get me wrong. Let's see. Austin's he says, "No, Reaper, you rock. You're a reason for the season. And if it weren't for you, we'd all be bored right now." I appreciate that, man. I appreciate the love. You know it. Mousebong also says, same. I love the Doors. I put on LA Woman when I'm too drunk. I mean, you can't tell me you ain't got down to Roadhouse Blues at least 50 times in your life. I woke up this morning and I grabbed myself a beer. I mean, come on, man. That's poetry. I'm fucking with you. But seriously, though, so many good moments on this record. The one thing that this one Metal Injection reviewer had to say, he actually kind of dug the record. He did. He dug it. The one thing he did say is the one thing that, unfortunately, today we have to tell these motherfucking people. It's different, so don't shy away from it. Mm-hmm. That was the only thing. He says this is a different record. They've evolved, but give it a serious listen.
But sometimes different fucking sucks, though. Sometimes bands try too hard and they make some shite. Yes, thank you, Babylon. This is, I love Jim Carrey. Like,
gotta love it.
When I listened to the first track they released, I think it was late January. Me no likey. I didn't even give it a chance through the end of the song. I was like, what the fuck is this? It sounded like indie rock for at least 4/5 of the song. And I couldn't take just indie rock. Like, I don't think this is the first track they should have had on the album. It's a good track because it's hauntingly and melancholically beautiful. It really is a beautiful, like right off the bat, within 3 seconds, you're like, unholy shit, this is beautiful. But I wrote that it's the least heavy song on the album, and it gets a bit heavy for the last 45 seconds, which I'm really glad they did that, but I don't think this should be the first song on the album. I would not put Endless Place as the first track on because it's too long, because that's a over 10-minute song.
Right.
But I would have probably put Mine Burns Alive, the title track, as the first song.
Yeah, I think that would have been a stronger song to start with, because sometimes, especially this day and age with listeners, and nothing against anyone out there in the Morgrot universe, you guys all know the ones that go, okay, I'm going to judge this record by the first track. And then they don't finish it if they didn't like it. So there could be some folks that didn't like skip around or anything, which is unfortunate. Mm-hmm. Solidly, though, I think it's a great effort. It's a step up. They haven't lost, in my opinion, any credibility whatsoever as a band. I think that they they did, take some chances, but they were very subtle and effective. So I would have to say for this record, I'll give it a solid 3.5.
Yeah, I would give it, and like, it's hard to rate it. Like, this is a temporary rating, minimum 3.5. This album is likely a 4 for me, I would say. I would probably say it's a 4 out of 5. I would go back, like, if you're new to Pallbearer, I would check out Foundations of Burden. And the first song I would start off with is Worlds Apart. It's the first track off the album. And they played that live last year when I saw them. The lyrics are outstanding, deep, like really about being a human being, and with no superficiality at all. And it's beautiful. His haunting, high-range voice throughout is just remarkable. It's going to stick with you. That's the first album I heard from them, and it's probably the first track. I can't remember, so many years back, but it is outstanding. You will love this. And then I would go to Heartless. Heartless is also one hell of an album. Outstanding. And I would start off again with the first track, I Saw the End.
Absolutely. All right. So we're going to switch gears a little bit to a little something darker yet familiar. And of course, we're talking about Kerry King's long, highly anticipated record, From Hell I Rise. And I fucked that up in the beginning because I said From Hell I'll Rise. I don't know if that would be a better title or not, but nonetheless, that is what we have gotten. Now, the one thing that before we get into, everybody knows all the fucking crazy headlines between MetalSucks.net, Metal Injection, Loudwire, constantly trying to throw shade at Kerry King because of how strange things have gone just to get this record out. And I remember when we kind of talked about this a few times before on some other shows, that you kind of have to put Slayer to the side. You really need to put Slayer to the side and try to give this a fresh ear. You're going to hear a lot of some very familiar riffage. And that's just because, motherfucker, it's Kerry King. What has he been doing for 40 years? He's been playing Slayer. So you're going to get Slayer type riffs. And that's okay, in my opinion. The one thing I will say is that, and I have to agree with Kyler on this, and I know you got to go, brother. I appreciate you for coming in, hanging with us tonight. I know you got a lot to do tomorrow. So I have to agree with what he said. This is what Slayer should have been. And it's kind of like a 2 or 3 parter for me. I'll probably go on a tangent, but that's just the way it goes. There's so many different aspects to Kerry King's solo project that I like so much better. Would it have been great to have Dave Lombardo behind it? Sure. But he did grab a drummer that was, in my opinion, for this type of project, very acceptable. I don't mind Paul Bostaph at all. Did they have a couple of bad Slayer records with him? Sure. Until the God Hates Us All record. That was the first time that I was like, okay, this is very acceptable. And it was different in many ways. There were some tempo changes. It wasn't just fucking thrash all the way through. Uh, and in my opinion, that was the only time that I felt that Tom's voice was better than the usual. I am just going to tell you, I'm not a huge Tom Araya fan. Never have been. So the guy that's taken over, and I actually think I have their names listed. Let me double check here. Nope, that's Pallbearer. God damn it. Let me try again. Shit. There is one that I did capture here. No, damn it. Hold on. I will get that for you because Babylon is asking who the singer is for this project.
It is Dark Angel's singer, and this is the singer they've had for years and years and years.
That's right.
I think his name is Mark, and then it's like a Spanish last name.
And then also for their second guitarist is ex Death Angel Violence. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, you're right. His name is Mark Osegueda. Yep. Hopefully I said that right.
Beelzebub's got it.
Yeah, right. Guitarist Phil Demel. So obviously there is a lot of mixed feelings on this record. One of them being, so many people have been saying that Kerry King is such a legend. Why did he have to step out of his comfort zone? There are a few tracks on this record where it is a little different. This whole record is not just Slayer personified. Kerry King does take a couple of chances. The only problem with that is that it seems like it was very deliberate instead of kind of like easing it in. There are definitely some strong tracks on this record. There are some that are just kind of like, okay. But I don't know. You cannot deny the raw power of pretty much their biggest hit right now, which is Residue. I feel it's very strong. It does give some of Slayer vibes because of the riffing, but I really like the vocal delivery, and I know that Mimi Horning doesn't. He feels like the voice is a little like strained, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't mind it because if you put this guy's voice next to Tom Araya's voice, I think Mark is stronger. I don't know. What do you think?
I would agree with you. He's a much more talented vocalist. There are certain times, and it's only when I listen to it with headphones. When I listen to the Kerry King album with headphones, he sounds a little bit strained, although he's pretty dynamic. So he's giving us different techniques, different sounds, different tones with his vocals. But there are times where he sounds a little strained and a little thin, if I might say. However, I think he is he is better than Tom Araya, much better.
Absolutely. And it's kind of nice that that's his only duties. You know what I mean? He's not having to pull double duty, which is play bass and do vocals at the same time. So right there, that dynamic kind of gives a little bit of freshness to this.
I agree with Mousebong here. I mean, Beelzebubs. I don't like that they chose Idle Hands to kick it off and represent the record. There are far better tracks. I agree. Like I wrote in my notes here on the side that this track, which is Idle Hands, reminds me the most of Relentless. And Relentless. I didn't like that album as much. It still doesn't mean it's a bad song, because it's not a bad song, but it's not as good as some of the others. Where Slayer suffered and sucked ass from after the Seasons in the Abyss album is they got into more of a power chord structure for all their riffing, and they got away from that single note that we especially heard in Raining Blood. They continued it throughout South of Heaven, and then they went into Seasons of the Abyss with that single note throughout. It's more eerie. Like, so when Iron Maiden kept what's the vocalist? I can't think of his name right now because of all these bourbons. Bruce Dickinson. When Bruce Dickinson went solo, his guitarist is who is the third guitarist for Iron Maiden right now. So when they had Brave New World come out, I was like, cool. I want to see what they're going to do with this third guitarist, because they can add a whole new layer of somebody doing something way out there that's going to fit in with it, but it's going to be different. Wah, wah, wah. Fucking those asshats did mostly power chord structure. At times they did the single note kind of melody and the single note harmonization that I like. But Metallica after the Injustice for All album, they got away from Hammett and James Hetfield being two different guitars, because it gives you different layers. So on 6 out of the 13 tracks on this new Kerry King album, they do this, the single note stuff. That is what Rain and Blood was so fucking famous for, and South of Heaven was so fucking famous for, and Seasons in the Abyss was so fucking good at. And they gave us that again, so I appreciate that. The songs that I wrote, are 7 out of 10, and they don't have that. And I particularly like it when Kerry King does the guitar that is not doing the power chords, when they do the single notes in a higher register rather than a lower register. I think it suffers a little bit from Kerry King using that lower register instead of the higher register. The higher register is more eerie. It plays along with his whammy bar soloing, where he's really going woo! Like, I love that stuff. The solos are excellent throughout this album. Both of them are taking part in most of the songs on the solos. The other guy is more melodic, and I can really tell the difference between Kerry King and the other guy playing, and I like that. That's great. That's the strength of this album. Going back to the old roots where they use the single notes as a strength, and I think having Mark Azevedo on the album is also another strength. Paul Bostaph using the toms a little bit more and more of a kind of I kind of like that. There's groove on this album that I did not hear in Repentless. You know, Repentless, I kind of listened to it a couple times and I just like fucking done with it.
I can kind of get a sense that, you know, as strong of a personality, and I think this is what Kerry hates about him, is that Tom kind of dominated how things went on some of those records, and it wasn't always a good thing. Because, I mean, I've heard Paul Bostaph in other dynamics before, and the guy is a great groove drummer. So I think going into this record that not only Paul, but I think Kerry knew this too, that stuff has to be a little bit groovier. It can't just be straight thrash all the way through. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because it gets boring. You might as well just take Slayer's discography and pick all the heaviest, thrashiest songs and put them all together. So having dynamicism there between the heavy thrash that he's known for, but to put a little bit more groove and more chuggaliciousness. That's one of the things that I do see from Carey, that he's not really done a lot since, I don't know, since Hanneman hasn't been in the band. You can definitely tell who wrote what. You know what I'm saying? When Hanneman wrote Slayer tunes, they had so much good flavor. When Carey was kind of the one that, hey, I brought this riff to the table or whatever, you could definitely tell that it was just same old, formula. So I think working with this new guitarist, he was able to kind of get some of that Hanneman Carey King vibe back, because those two, any guitarist duos that I could ever think of, they worked so well together. They had two different soloing styles, and that is very evident on this record, and I fucking love that. Nothing against Exodus guitarist who has filled in since Hanneman had passed, but definitely having their own voice as two guitar players, no problem, shined on this record, and it definitely feels more fresh to me. But I do have to agree with Mimi Horny on this, that there are tracks on this record that just are okay, but there are some bangers. Crucifixion, I love a lot. This album is telling the story about everything that Carey King had animosity towards with his Slayer compatriots, which is really kind of funny because, that's where people are criticizing him. He knew that Slayer was going to be doing some reunion shows while he was making this album. So credibility-wise, this is why a lot of reviewers and people are just trashing this dude, because he did all this trash talking, and then next thing you know, in like a month or so, Slayer's getting back together. Not the best timing whatsoever. But
I think in this internet age, everybody's looking to be offended by something. I personally, I've always felt like the album is the album. I don't give a shit unless he's a child molester or something like that, or like,
right.
I have a hard time with Burzum a little bit, but I still can appreciate his music, but I hate that fucker. I'd fucking love to do martial arts with him and fuck him up. I would love to challenge him in the octagon and fuck his ass up. I'd get fucking all kinds of shit. I did martial arts for a long time, y'all. You may not know that, but I
love the ground and pound.
Yeah. And I would take his ass down to the ground and make him cry like a baby. But I do appreciate his church burning. Like, that was pretty good. But anyway, sometimes it's hard to separate an asshole or something like that from the music. But I really like this album. I don't give a shit what other people say. It's an album that is growing on me as well. When I first heard it, I was like, yeah, okay. I couldn't get the Repentless album out of my mind. But once I gave it more of a chance, like I always do, like this does, I listened to it critically, and I kind of broke it down and considered what each instrument was doing. I like it. I like 6 out of the 13 tracks are pretty darn good. They're like 3 out of 5 to 4 out of 5 stars. But then they have a bunch that are like 2.5 or 2 out of 5 stars. her songs. Like 7 of them are that way. They are at their best when they're doing that evil single note that's in Raining Blood.
Absolutely, Mouse Bong. I agree with you there. This age is all about the likes and shares. Most def, which is so fucking stupid because music never depended on that whatsoever back in the day. She also says,
I was just going to say, you can pull it up. I think that Carrie King, if you're presented to do a European festival show, I'm fucking down. I am not turning that down, especially when you're the headliner. I'm not going to walk away from that type of money and to give fans what they want. 50,000 screaming fans out there. Fuck yeah, I'm down. I don't care if they did a
especially in Europe.
Hell yeah.
Especially in Europe. I mean, hundreds of thousands of people come for those festivals. So if I was Carrie King and he's taken a leap of faith, which everyone is praising him for, and so do I. He is the one who has gone on and said, I'm going to start my own thing. And it's really not a bad effort. He did not decide to do this because the hype wasn't big enough for the KK record. He knew about this before he even made the KK record. That's where lines get blurred. You know what I'm saying? He knew it was coming, but he still soldiered on and made his solo project come to life because he's been telling these 3 other dudes for years, the last 5 years, that this was going to happen. So he's not going to just go, oh, well, I get a big payday, so sorry, guys, I'm not ready to record yet. No, he said, fuck that. I'm going to go ahead and do that show because I love the songs. That's where, he came from. That's what made him. So good for fucking Carrie King for following through because he really didn't have to, I would have definitely have put From Hell I Rise further up in the track listing. I don't think he should have closed the record with it. Because I feel that
it wasn't one of my favorite. It wasn't in my top 6 favorite. My top 6 favorite are Residue, Idle Hands, and Idle Hands is probably the bottom of that top 6. Trophies of the Tyrant, which is really chuggy. And there is an arpeggio, a slow arpeggio that's really different in that song. So that's the song that Trophies of the Tyrant is the song that stood out for me from all the other ones. I really love this slow arpeggio riff that's in there. Crucifixation, it's really fast-paced, remind me of War Ensemble. I'm glad he's going back there. Not all these songs are wicked fast. A lot of these songs are really slow and more groovy and chuggalish. And then, so it was Residue, Idle Hands, Trophies of the Tyrant, Crucifixation, that's Mine Burns Live, that's the wrong place, Toxic, and then Shrapnel.
Yeah.
Toxic,
those are definitely the strongest
ones.
I
really liked, especially in the beginning, single notes. Really took me back to 1987, 1988 Slayer from the Rain and Blood era. And it has really quick down picking throughout the album. And I thought this might be my favorite song on the album. Not sure, but because I'm still, even though I've listened to it about 6 times, I'm not sure where I sit with all the tracks. I have to listen to it more.
Out of the ones that you picked, I also feel that those are the strongest. Tension, Rage. I mean, it's kind of just, it's all right. To me, that's just, you can tell how long Carrie's been sitting on these riffs. They could go 10 years back. he even admits that shit. So that's why some of them are just kind of like, oh, okay, well, back then it probably would have been great. I don't know. But for this record, I would have went with less tracks, more balls.
Yes. I totally agree. I would have refined it more. I would have put the second guitar doing something different in every single track.
Oh, big time.
Would have people going like, oh my gosh. There are some reviewers out there, they can take this to it. Like they have something against Kerry King. I don't get it. It's like we did the Deicide. You guys can go back and watch the Deicide if you missed that. But the Deicide album that just recently came out, to me, it's quite good. It's really good. There were a couple of reviewers that just shat upon it so badly, and I'm just like, what the fuck are you listening to? Like, I'm not going to like it. I've told you 6 out of the 13 songs I think are legit good songs on this album. There's 7 songs, if you know math, that are not, they're okay. None of them are bad though, but they're just like kind of okay. They're a little bit meh. But this is still a good album. It's a catchy album. It's an album that is growing on me, and it's a pretty clever album. Like when I listen to him, like that's on the good songs, I'm like, Kerry, that's really fucking good. Kerry King, you can never question his fucking metal card. 100% metal. 100%. And this album is 100% metal. I just disagree with having so many tracks on it and not having the second guitar actually be meaningful in the riff and in the song.
Because sometimes when you come out with an album that is this long, that is definitely 80s style of thinking, where you think people are going to go all the way through this record. You give them a little too much and there's some weak tracks within it, it's going to turn people off and go, okay, this is throwback. Oh, this is really good. You know what I mean? So if you would have just cut it down, hit everyone with your best shit. And if I was Kerry King, I would have tested this on, like, have a listening party with people before, Exactly. It needs a landing strip. I agree, Mouse.
Oh, I love landing strips.
But if he would have just done that and tested it and see how people reacted to it, because if you do it with, I don't know, people that are partial, like they're biased, they're going to be like, oh, yeah, fuck yeah, this whole thing is fantastic because it's Kerry King and you don't want to tell him anything sucks. But if he would have test run it, he would have figured out which songs grabbed people the most. And honestly, he could have really been burning it up.
Still, I'm still really impressed by him because the 6 songs or at least the 6 songs that I felt were really, really good are good. Like, I've got them. I liked all of them on Spotify, so hopefully I get to hear them more and more as I'm listening to music.
Fuck yeah. And here is a little taste of the new Kerry King record. Oh. If that just doesn't get you right here and wanting to do this for the next 5 minutes, something's wrong with you. So everybody out there in the Morgrot universe, this is kind of what we wanted to let you know. Give this album a shot. don't give in to all the negativity. There is just so many moments on this record that I think you'll find yourself being like, fuck yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But for a first effort, I'm going to say not bad. I'm going to say not bad at all. I just have to give it a 2.5 to maybe 3 on this record.
Yeah, it's kind of hard for me to go above 3 because 7 out of the 13 tracks are meh. Like Diablo, it's okay as an intro. It was a little bit long. I would maybe have cut it a bit and just let it be a part of what was it? Idle Hands, I think was the first. No, Where I Reign.
Yep.
I would have let it kind of be with Where I Reign. Yeah, I would say probably. Yeah, it's a 2, and I'm with you. A 2.5, maybe 3 out of 5 stars. But to get to that 2.5, it's because of really, really solid tracks, good grooves, clever songwriting, a lot of variety into it too. It's not just all straightforward mid-tempo. They're changing shit up. Like you hit it, and we both have already kind of mentioned this. Too many tracks. And other reviewers have also said that, and I agree. But they didn't give the substance like we have about why it was too many fucking tracks.
Right. They just kind of, throw it in the trash can, by saying that I'm just not really impressed. Well, but you can't deny, and I have seen this in multiple reviews of this record. Hell, even the Pallbearer record, where they're like, these songs were really good. They didn't necessarily just shit on the whole record as a whole. It's just that they would nitpick and go, wow, this was really great. And then suddenly I got hit with this and it just wasn't as good. Well, sometimes, and especially records like this, you gotta let it grow on you. You gotta sit with it. Don't just go off that first impulse. Now, don't get me wrong out there, Morgrot Universe. There's some records where it doesn't matter how many times you listen to it, it is a suck fest. But I can honestly say, in good faith, and it is as unholy as it gets, both of these records are worth a listen. I think they are good. They have great moments about them. And then there's some others, it's just like, I wish you would have done this or I wish you would have done that. But the thing that makes it different between these two bands is that on the Pallbearer record, you really have to sit with it. You gotta give it more time. Just to listen to it and see what really starts to kind of jump out at you. But with the KK King record, it's like, we know stone fucking cold that these songs are fantastic. But these ones are like, you should have left it for a B-side 5 years down the road.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I have to agree with Babylon on this. Let the fungus grow on you.
Yeah, especially the Pallbearer album. Listen to the Pallbearer album Under the Influence. I know that may never ever happen with Babylon or Beelzebubs because they don't ever partake of devil's lettuce or anything that would put them under the influence. But I totally would recommend that listen to this Under the Influence with headphones even, especially for the Pallbearer. Man, it's a really good album.
I can honestly say I think you could do it either way, but I'm sure with a little additive, it may take you into a bit of another dimension. And that's fine, because sometimes something will jump out at you that you just didn't really recognize was there. Let's see. Mousebong says the new Pallbearer is 100% growing to be in my top 10 faves. It drew me in immediately. And it's going to be that way for a lot of folks. But like I said, with the Kerry King, give it a full listen. It's gonna jump out at you what is strongest. Austin, you rock. He says influence of alcohol or the good old sticky icky. I mean, honestly, either way, it is it's a banger of a record, but in a different way. There's like multiple layers to it. It's like fucking Shrek. He's like an onion. Multiple layers. So that is.
I don't know if people can see. That's my little album CD cassette player is right there. And normally my tattoo drawing table isn't in the way, but I stand before this altar under the influence of the devil's lettuce, usually the devil's lettuce, and I just fucking drone out to this shit. It's so good. When there's a good album, I like to take just standing in front and taking it in. It's so much better, and I remember it the next fucking day.
Absolutely. So if you're looking for something to kind of chill out to, but at the same time get hit in some very, very heavy ways, Pallbearer is definitely right up your alley. If you want that raw power, the Kerry King record is gonna give you that. Not as a whole, but there's gonna be definitely certain tracks. And some of you guys out there in More Universe, you might actually like the tracks that we didn't like. And that's okay. But it's still gonna grab you. You know what I mean? One way or another, you're gonna feel that raw power because it's like, you know, Mimi Horning said over there, that you do not have to doubt Kerry King's metal card at all. The man brings the thunder either way. And honestly, Slayer fans, I expect them to fill the seats just like they did before. It is a little different because it's a new band and all new bands have to start in smaller venues. So it's going to take Kerry some time to get himself on a bigger stage as the Kerry King band. Okay. But nonetheless, I praise him for carrying the unholy flag past fucking Slayer. That is our synopsis of these two records, and we totally appreciate every last one of you for joining us on this Tuesday evening. Absolutely. Mousebong says, I wish KK the best. Good for him with the album. And as do we. You know, we hope that he gets that other side of him out. And to Pallbearer for kind of knocking down some new walls and creativity and bringing us something different, something that makes us go, okay. And, you know, they may even expand their fan base by this record. You never know. It could happen. But as always, for choosing us as, you know, the beginning of your week's entertainment, we so appreciate everybody's comments tonight. It was fucking stellar as always. And every show that we deliver, you guys keep showing up and sharing out, and it's just growing. Last week was huge as far as, you know, total views for every show. So if you know somebody that might dig this, pass it along. Say, hey, these two fucks over at Tracks of the Damned and Morgrot Entertainment, they got some pretty entertaining stuff. You might want to check them out. Pass it along, because we all grow together. We all rise together. And as you're getting ready to continue the rest of your week, don't forget that Reaper's Underground is tomorrow night with two of the villains from Killer Camp Out 2 and Crackoon. Not to mention, there is also another interview coming up this Sunday with the director and some of the cast from The Dead Place as well. So lots of good stuff coming up, and we look forward to seeing you each time. And always remember, one foot in the fire, and God damn it, stay heavy.